Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila recording from Dallas County, and who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Hanyu. Welcome.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
Today is one of my guilty pleasure subjects, the Silky myth.
Okay. What is a Selkie?
So, Silkies, legend are from the Irish and Scottish legend, are pretty much in their native. Silkies have multiple spellings, but literally are called in English the seal folk, where they're mostly sea bound in seal form, and sometimes, depending on the legend, every 7 years they come on land and shed their skin to become human, and or possibly just come on land to kind of get some regular sun as a human being, maybe get supplies, and go back to the sea. So the point of this kind of legend is that the only way they can go back to the sea is if they have their seal skins. And most of the stories revolve around men and women who have gone out to the beach and found the skin of a silky and taken it home and shut it in a case so that those who are looking for their skin follow the scent back to their house, and they are unfortunately forced into matrimony with said person with their skin. Most of these legends are actually go towards female silkies, but there are a few of male silkies having this happen, but mostly females. And the only way for them to go back to the sea is to have their skin. So it's interesting that they are held captive by being their skins being left away, and sometimes it could be months, it could be weeks, it could be years, and they might have children together with these human counterparts as they long for the sea, searching for their skin.
Wow, that's very interesting stuff. So they would be forced to marry people? That's not cool.
No, not cool without their full consent. I mean, they give their consent only because there is their own identity at stake, which is their skin that makes them who they are silky wise, and they can't go back to their homes in the sea without being turned back into a seal.
Mm. So all right. So what are some of these legends?
Well, depending on, they all are to an extent about the same type of legends, where a gentleman hears about the seals that come on and possibly shed their skin every 7 years on a beach. And he's moved into this town and has no idea about this. So one day he decides, you know what? Let me go see if this is true or not. So he goes down to the beach that has been said that the seals go. There are seals there, and some of them scatter away. But he finds this interesting skin on the ground and looks at it and feels it, and it looks like a seal, but nothing else in it. So he decides, with an inkling, I'm going to take this home, and takes it home, locks it up, and within the next couple of hours, he hears a knock on the door. It is a young woman there searching for something she's lost. He unfortunately has no idea, hint, hint, of what she is talking about. And so they get to know each other, and he asked her to be his wife. She still goes on searching about the beach for skin, but it still leads her back to that same house. So after many years and much longing for the ocean and a few children later, she finally finds the mysterious key and goes up to the attic when the husband is away with the help of the eldest daughter, who says, "Mom, I found this key. There's a chest that me and my brothers have been looking at that we can't open. Could this key possibly be?" Well, Mom has hope in her eyes and is like, "Let's investigate. I'll help you." They go up to go look at the chest and open it up. And there, in the chest, still well preserved, is the skin of a seal. Mother says, "I've been looking for you for years." Grabs this seal skin, kisses her children, tells her oldest daughter, "Honey, I'm sorry, but I have to go. Take care of your brothers and sisters. We may see each other one day, but I will not be who I am. You may have the power in you. One day, if you choose, the sea will call. Follow it." And leaves the children behind to go back to the sea. Husband comes home afterwards and finds the children alone, and the eldest daughter tells him what happened. He is slightly furious, but what can he do now? He doesn't have the skin to keep her there any longer. The oldest child doesn't tell him that Mom said the sea may call for her or one of the siblings, and tells the siblings as they get older before she leaves, when the sea calls for her, to come back home.
And
So it's
yeah,
interesting enough to be a cycle like that. It may not be the oldest child, it could be the youngest or one of the boys. But just the idea of getting your skin taken away and you put into the servitude of being a wife to some gentleman or lady.
so she just like left her kids and pieced out.
Yep.
That
And in the superstitions and legend, when they find their skin, even if they've had children, they may never come back again.
oh, okay.
Or the children may see a seal on the beach one day that, is much friendlier than the other seals, and they just feel like a connection, and they don't know why.
Mm-hmm. So I know that here it says some legends say that Selkies can turn to human every so often when the conditions of the tides are correct, but oral storytellers disagreed as to the time interval. Now there is a story known as Ursula's Rumor, which is about a Selkie, and the contacted male Selkie promised to visit her at the seventh stream or spring tide. In the ballad of the Great Selkie of Sulsheri, the seal husband promised to return in 7 years, so the number 7 being commonplace in the balladry, so that means they only do it every 7 years, like you said. So, according to one version, the Selkie could only assume human form once every 7 years because they are bodies that house condemned souls. And there is a notion that they are after humans who had committed sinful wrongdoing or fallen angels.
Yeah, there is that legend too. There is a So that's also interesting, and there's been several films and things that have come about from the Silky legend.
Oh, yeah.
One of the ones at my youngest age that actually made me aware of the legend is called The Secret of Rona Inish, which is about a little boy who is found on the shores of Rona, naked, being raised by the seals. And the whole story is, why is the child out there? Like, where is the child's parent? And sometimes the child tries to run away back to the seals, and then inside it tells about the story of the Selkies, which is interesting in itself. And that was my first instance with the legend of the Selkies.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I mean, there's this other film that was made in 2000 it was just called Silky, and it was an Australian TV film. There's another film called Ondine, which was made in 2009. Uh, and the most recent one, which came out in 2014, called Song of the Sea. It was an animated film. And have you seen that one? Because that's a really good film.
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but not actually seen it fully.
Okay. It was nominated for an Oscar, but I mean, it lost to Pixar because of course it did. But
yeah, I know, right?
yeah. So yeah, there's some other like superstitions that come along with the Selkie legend, and it was like also like where people in Scottish Isles would kill seals to make use of their skin and blubber, but that was only in dire situations, like only in emergencies. And it was thought that killing of a seal would result in misfortune for the perpetrator. So a guy named Ernest Marwick recounts the tale of crofters who brought their sheep to gaze upon a small group of homes within the Orkney Islands. During the summer, a man placed 7 sheep on the longest home. While on his way home from grazing sheep, the man killed a seal. Why, I don't really know. That night, all of the man's sheep disappeared. However, the other crofters who had not killed the seal did not lose their sheep. So, there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like they said, legends are things there. And weirdly enough, in some of them, they're like a cousin to mermaids. They're not fully mermaids, but
Yeah.
they're like a subspecies of mermaids.
Right. Because they can
So,
only turn into seals.
yeah. Seals, and they have a skin, whereas mermaids is more of a magic kind of thing, and their fins are replaced with legs, and they don't have any control over the sea, like with losing their skin.
Yeah. So yeah, so I know that there's in this like I know there's various variations of the tales regarding tales in Ireland and in Orkney and in Scotland. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. What's the differences between them?
The differences goes with the whole 7 years, and where it's done. Like the islands that it's on is the difference, but most of the legends are pretty much the same, with most of it being females and very few being males, but still males still happen every once in a while. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there are ballads and stories told, but usually the difference is usually the time frame, whether it's 7 years that they turn into humans, or if it's during a certain tiding, a full moon, new moon
Mm-hmm.
type. So, but there's not like a one concrete thing. The only concrete thing, it has to be a seal skin.
Okay. What if it like maybe we can do like a walrus maybe? Is that not gonna work?
I don't think so. Walruses, I mean, it's a possibility, but I think that's kind of like going into another different subspecies.
Okay. So I know like the silky whitetail had its own version in practically every island of Orkney, according to a guy named W. Trail Dennison, who is like a pretty well-known folklorist. And in his study, he included a version collected from the resident of North Ronaldsay, in which a goodman of wasteness. A confirmed bachelor falls in love with a damsel among the Selkies. So, whose skin he captures. So, again, with the whole he stole the skin thing. So, he searches the house in his. She searches the house in his absence and finds her seal skin thanks to her youngest daughter, who had once seen it being hidden under the roof. So, in Silky Wife, a version of the dearness in the mainland Orkney, the husband locked away the seal skin in a sea kist, which is like a chest, and hid the key. But the seal woman is said to have acquiesced to the concealment, saying it was better to keep her better to keep her Soki days out of her mind. However, when she discovered her skin, she departed hastily, leaving her clothes all scattered about. So, and also like a fisherman named Alec supposedly gained a wife by stealing a seal skin of a selkie in a tale told by an Orkney skipper, and the Alec tale is given as good acquaintance of the father of the storyteller, John Heddle of Stromness. So in the other one, in this particular tale, the Selkie woman wanted to get away from her silky life, but as soon as she found her skin, she just like hightailed out of there like ASAP.
Yeah, but it also is one of those. How many could possibly have never found their skin? I remember a tale by Neil. Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Thank you. His version that I've read is that the woman stays and searches this near the sea for her skin so much, but she never finds it, and she grows older and almost pretty much becomes a grandma. And guess who ends up finding her skin as her granddaughter? And since she has grown too old and cannot go back to her home, she offers the skin to her granddaughter to go to the sea.
Does she take it?
It ends with the daughter just having her hands on the skin and looking both ways towards the land and the sea, and it ends.
Oh, that's
so
lame.
It's really up to your to your imagination.
It's so lame.
I mean, you had the opportunity to be able to go to the sea by wearing a seal skin and joining the seals and being of slight magical properties. Would you take it?
Probably not. I mean, the sea is scary.
But there's so much more mystery that you could find out just by being a Selkie.
Okay. Do I get to be human again if after I put on the seal skin? Or do I have to wait 7 years?
You might have to wait 7 years.
I don't know if I could do 7 years in the ocean. Plus, how long do seals live? Don't they like live like a lot shorter than humans?
Sometimes I think it depends on predators. We just never see really old seals because predators come in.
That's another reason why I wouldn't want to be a seal. I can walk around here and I won't have to be worried about getting eaten.
But I mean, you have a valid point. I mean, but I guess some of us think the sea is very interesting and want to know where its depths are. But I don't know if I would necessarily pick the Silky as my prison of choice to go into the sea.
Okay, what would it be?
I would probably rather be a mermaid or a siren.
A siren? One of those beings that have crashed people's ships?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and again, that's a different legend in and of itself. There are subspecies of mermaid too.
Mm-hmm.
They're just the rage induced from all the BS that mermaids put up with, and they get mad and become sirens.
Mm. You know, my favorite depiction of mermaids was in Harry Potter, where they're all like ugly and stuff. So, speaking of mermaids, there was a version of the tale about the mermaid compelled to become a wife to a human who steals her seal's skin, and it was localized in Unst, which is another one of the Northern Isles, and was published by a guy named Samuel Hibbert in 1822. She had already had a husband of her own kind in her case, so she wanted to leave her family, wanted to start a second family or whatever. Some stories from Shetland have Selkies luring islanders into the sea at midsummer, the lovelord humans never returning to dry land. Ooh. So in Shetland, the sea folk were believed to revert to human shape and breathed air in the atmosphere in the submarine homeland. But their sea dress, which is like what they call the sealskin, had
Mm-hmm.
they had the ability to transform into seals to make transit from there to the reefs above the sea. However, each skin was unique and irreplaceable, and the shape shifting nature of the Selkies within Shetland tradition is detailed in the Scottish ballad The Silkie of Shule Sherry. So, yep, that's a thing. So, in the tale of George's son, a group of seals resting in the Vescaries are ambushed and skinned by Papa Store, a fisherman. But these were actually seal folk, and the spilling of blood caused a scourge in seawater, and one fisherman was left abandoned. The sea folk victims recovered in human like form but lamented the loss of their skin without which they could not return to the submarine home. Oliventus or Olivitnus was particularly distressed since he was not separated from his wife. He was now separated from his wife. However, his mother Georgia struck a bargain with the abandoned seaman, offering to carry him back to Papa's store in on condition the skin would be returned. In a different telling of the same plot line, the stranded man is named Herman Perk, and while rescuing the Selkie's name, oh yeah, the Selkie's name was not identified. So there's that legend.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah,
I think I have a small pitch of the Scottish ballad of the Great Silkie of Cyril Cirque.
I think it's pronounced Cheryl Scary.
Yes. It goes, at least the little portion that I have is, I am a man upon the land, I am a silky in the sea, and when I'm far from every strand, my dwelling is in Shoal Scurry.
Yeah, I was supposed to tell the natures of the Selkies, uh, about like the whole relationship of the sea and land.
Yep, just being a little bit apart there and more. And that would go with the whole 7 years that come on land to possibly feel about being human and then go back if that's not where you wish to be,
Mm-hmm.
or wait 7 years to go back.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. So the Tales of the Sea Bride has been assigned the number ML 4080 under Radar Thoralf Christensen's system of classification of migratory folktales. In case you wanted to know that. So these stories of Selkie wives were also recognized to be the Swan Maiden motif type. There are now hundreds of Seal Bride type tales that have been found from Ireland to Iceland, and only one specimen was found in Norway by Christiansen. So in the Farse Islands, there are analogous beliefs in sea folk and seal women also. Seal shapeshifters, similar to the Silkie, exist in folklore of many cultures. A corresponding creature existed in the Swedish legend, and the Chinook people of North America have similar tale of a boy who changes into a seal. So there are other types of legends in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's look into the Icelandic version of these guys. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. So the folk tale of the Sea Skin, published by John Arneson, offers an Atlantic Icelandic dialogue of the Selkie folktale. So the tale relates to how a man from Myrdalur forced a woman transformed from a seal to marry him after taking possession of her sealskin. She discovers the key to the chest in her husband's usual clothes when he dresses up for a Christmas outing, and the seal woman is reunited from the male seal who was her betrothed partner. So after such a tale was recorded by Jean Gordmundson, the Learned, and according to him, these seal folk were sea-dwelling elves called Marminyar, or mermaids. Wow. So his tale is of a man who comes across the dancing and celebrating of elves within a cave by the ocean. The cave is lined with seal skins of the dancing elves. As soon as the elves take notice of the man, they rush to don their skins and dive back to the ocean. However, the man is able to steal the smallest of the skins, sliding it underneath his clothes. The owner of the skin tries to retrieve her skin, but the man she quickly takes hold of the young elf and takes her home to be his wife. Because I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Of course.
So the man and the elf are together for 2 years. People are like, "Oh, he's married to an elf." I mean, that's normal. Producing 2 children, a boy and a girl, but the elf harbors no love for the man. I mean, yeah. During this time, the former elf woman's elf husband swims along the shore by the couple's home. One day, the elf woman finds her skin and runs away, never to be seen again. The more distant echo of a Selkie type stories may be found in the medieval story of a demonic woman, Selkolia, which means seal head. So yeah, in the Icelandic version of these tales, Selkies don't really turn into humans; they turn into elves. So
Yeah.
there's that. Uh, so yeah, what do you think about this guy just like taking the skin and just be like, "Hey, you're my wife now," because obviously.
Folks, consent is see. Please consent to all your silkies before taking their skin.
Okay. Yeah, put that on a t-shirt. So, the famous Soki story from the Farse Islands, is the legend of Kopakonen. Kopakonen, literally meaning sea woman, and the story tells of a young farmer from the village of Makladalor, who, after learning about the local legend that seals could come ashore and shed their skins once a year in the 13th night, goes to see for himself. While lying in wait, the man watches as many seals swim to the shore, shedding their skin to reveal their human forms. The farmer takes the skin of a young Selkie woman who, unable to return to the water without her skin, is forced to follow the young man, and guess what? Guess what he does? He
Oh
make
no!
he makes her
Not
become
again!
he makes her become her wife.
Taking my wife!
He makes her become his wife, like everybody else. So the two stay together for many years, even producing several children. The man locks the Selkie skin in a chest, keeping the key to the lock on his person at all times, so his wife may never gain access. However, one day the man forgets his key at home and comes back to his farm to find that his Selkie wife has taken her skin and returned to the ocean. Later, when the farmer is out on the hunt, he kills the Selkie woman's Selkie husband and 2 Selkie sons. Enraged, the Selkie woman promises vengeance for her lost kin. She exclaims that some shall be drowned, some shall fall from cliffs and slopes, and this shall continue until so many men have lost their lives that they will continue to link arms around the whole island of Kolsloy, and the deaths that occur on the island are thought to be due to the Silky Woman's curse. Ooh.
Hey, a woman's scorn is
You mean hell hath no fury than a woman's scorn?
Yes.
Okay.
You done effed up, man.
Well, he killed her entire family
Yeah.
after being like, "You're my wife now." After like, I mean, because like everybody's doing that. So, Peter Kagan in the Wind by Gorny Bach tells the story of a fisherman named Kagan who married a seal woman. Against his wife's wishes, he set sail dangerously late in the year and was trapped battling a terrible storm, unable to return home. So his wife shifted into her seal form and saved him, even though this meant she could never return to her human body and hence her happy home. So this is one of the tales where she actually consented to being married and was actually likes her human husband and stuff.
Oh, the one and few and far between. There is consent. Ah!
Yeah, and then she takes it off, and then apparently she can never come back again. I guess I don't know. I don't know why. I thought she can come back.
Well, I mean, that goes with the parts of legends is like 7 years. I mean, if you change possibly back to the other side before those time frame is over, maybe you're stuck in whatever form you did.
Maybe that's how it works.
I mean, magic is untelling.
Yeah. So let's go to the Emerald Isles of Ireland, where the mermaids in Irish folklore, which they're called Marrow there, have been regarded as a seal woman in some instances. So, in a certain collection of the lore in County Kerry, there is an omomastic tale in Tralee, which claimed the Lee family was descended from a man who took a Murdoch, or a mermaid, for a wife. She later escaped and joined her seal husband, suggesting that she was of the sea folk kind. Yep, that's a big suggestion.
Yep.
There is also a tradition in the Connolly clan of Connemara, was descended of the seals, and it was taboo for them to kill the animals lest it will bring ill luck. And since Connolly became a moniker of the animal, many changed their surname to Connolly, Connolly, and it is also mentioned in this connection that there is a Roninish or a sea island off Donegal outside Guibara Bay. So there's that.
I'm just thinking about these poor silky children that get left after the human silky breeds. I mean, I mean, they get left behind by their mom, or the few times as the dad,
Yeah.
to go back to the sea, and you can see some of the characteristics that, hey, these children aren't quite normal. In the David Thompson's book, The People of the Sea, which chronicles the extensive legends surrounding the gray seal within the folklore of rural Scottish and Irish communities. It is the children of male silkies and human women. We've gone to the other side.
Okay, yeah.
That have webbed toes and fingers. When the webbing is cut, a rough and rigid growth takes its place. Oh, that sounds like it hurts. The book, The Folklore of Ormsby and Shetland by Ernest W. Marwick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really bad at just pronouncing things. I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay.
Everything. Anyway, he cites a tale of a woman who gives birth to a son with a seal's face after falling in love with a silky man. A dream later reveals the location of silver for the woman to find after giving birth to her son. So, a group of silky descendants, also mentioned by Marwick.
Yeah, Marwick.
Possessed a skin that was greenish, white in color, and cracked in several places upon the body. These cracks allude to fishy odor.
Oh, snap.
I mean, you got webbed toes, discolored skin, faces of seals. I mean, just you get left behind by your silky folks, and maybe before you were born, or they don't come up until after they've left. That you, or the next generation when you have children, if you stayed on land. Oh yeah, so yeah, you got to sit down your children and be like, so let me tell you of my mother, who you have never met and probably never will, your grandmother. She's a Silky, and this is why you have these atonements, because you are quarter Silky. Welcome to the world.
It's like the 13th year. Remember that film?
Yeah.
Where he turns 13 and then he turns into a mermaid. It's supposed to be an allegory for puberty.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before the advent of modern medicine, many psychological conditions were untreatable. So, when children were born with abnormalities, it is common to blame the fairies. So, yeah.
They're not switching the children's and making changelings come on the side. Why are they blaming the fairies? The fairies never do anything unless they decide to change out the children, and usually it's changelings. Sorry, that's a whole different level. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're team fairy. You're on the fairy side.
There might be mischievous and playful, but they don't necessarily do it out of spite.
So the Macardrum clan of the Outer Hebrides became known as the Macadrums of the Seals, as they claimed to be descended from a union between fishermen and a Selkie. This was an explanation for their syndactically a hereditary growth of skin between their fingers that made their hands resemble flippers. So, the children with scaly skin were thought to be descendants of Selkies, and this would have been caused by ichthyosis, which is a genetic skin disorder which causes patches the skin to harder and appear scaly. So this condition can be severe, appearing all over the body, but is more likely to cause slight disfigurement. The most common type is known as ichthyosis vulgaris. So there's an explanation for the webbed fingers and the scaly skin. They're just...
use your science and not magic, of course.
It's true. So Selkie children born with a seal's head could have been due to a birth defect known as anencephaly. So Scottish folklorist and antiquarian David McRitchie believed that early settlers in Scotland probably encountered and even married Finnish and Sami women who were misidentified as Selkies because of their sealskin kayaks and clothing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you buy that?
Yeah, sure. Because they use the skins of seals to keep warm in the winter and, get by, help them around. It's just regular women just hoarding things and not an actual magical being that you've forced into marriage.
Okay. So it's okay. Because of that. So others have suggested that traditions concerning the Selkies may have been due to misinterpreted sightings of Finmen. Inuit from the Davis Strait. So the Inuit wore clothes and used kayaks that were both made out of animal skins, and both the clothes and kayaks would use buoyancy when saturated and would need to be dried out. It is thought that the sightings of Inuit divesting themselves of their clothing or lying next to the skins on the rocks could have led to the belief of their ability to change from a seal to a man. So, there you go.
Oh yeah, science. We needed to stay warm in these harsh conditions. Silks can do that. Hey, let's bury our bodies in silk things. Put them out to dry so we can use it later on. But us being next to us and don't want our new kill to be taken away, just sit out in the sun all naked wise, and the legends are born that Selkies exist, and they're really actually just humans living their best lives.
Exactly. So another belief is that of a shipwrecked Spaniard Spaniards who were washed ashore, and their jet black hair resembled seals. So, as the anthropologist Asbjorn Jean has recognized, though there is a strong body of lore that indicates that Selkies are said to be supernaturally formed from the souls of drowned people. So that's that. It was their hair the whole time.
It was the hair. It was, trying to condemn people that did wrong, that they, during the sea partings, that they died deaths and stuck with magic, and they now are reborn into that magic.
Uh huh. So, do you agree with these explanations of what the Selkies are?
I mean, they're nice things when you need to figure out why is this happening to these human children, and why is it looking this way, instead of, I mean, in some cases, especially if it's still true today about the Scottish and Irish not harming seals because they actually believe that it will bring bad luck, means that on some part they do believe that Silkies exist, and if they did do harm, then, things bad might happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes, let's go with the medical conditions of why this is actually happening and not magic, because, magic doesn't exist.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, that's that. Um, do you prefer this explanation, or do you prefer to believe the magical explanation?
I'm magic all the way.
Your team magic? Okay. So yeah, do you have anything else to say about the Selkies?
Consent is sexy. Please, if you find a random skin on the ground, please give it back to whoever you found it about, and not take it home and force people into servitude of being your wife and or husband.
It sounds a lot like who is actually marrying these people.
Well, depending on the time frame, if a marriage didn't have paperwork to go with it. You were either betrothed with it, and when you became of age, you just moved in with them, and everyone in the town considered you married if y'all were always together.
Oh, okay.
So there's a possibility that pretty much with them saying, I have your skin, it's locked somewhere, live with me, literally living with me is the whole common law marriage. He goes around saying, "Hey, this is my new wife. Where is she from? Well, from overseas." But and they just say, "Okay, she's unique and unnatural, but her beauty is wonderful," which is another thing. The beauty of male and female Silkies were actually extreme. That's why they were actually sought out for being husbands and wives.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
they just went into town saying, "This is my wife. She lives with me, and she lived with you." And finally, she spoke the language after being quiet for some time because she had to learn the language because she never learned English.
Yeah. And
Gaelic
then
or Welsh, depending on where you're from.
so yeah, well, that's the story of the Selkies. Very, very interesting stuff. I would give it 2 thumbs up. What would you give it?
I would give it 4 fishtails.
4 fishtails out of
Out of
5.
5.
Okay. Did it lose points from the forced marriage?
Always.
Okay.
Consent is sexy. You always should have consent.
Mm-hmm.
Although we did have 1 or 2 stories, there was actually consent.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still far and few between, like anything else.
Right. So yeah.
Just because you find something doesn't mean it's yours.
Oh
Give
yeah.
it back to where you got it from.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta check if the skin is actually a jacket made out of seal skin and not an actual seal skin.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the story of the Selkies. Yeah, it was great. It was very interesting, and that was very interesting to learn. So we will choose another topic next week, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to a Vision podcast, home of wacky talkies, The Kingdom, Evil Exists, and many more.